And our YouTube poll question is, do you think Brock Purdy's rushing himself back too fast? Do you think Brock Purdy is rushing himself back too fast? So far, there's 200 votes. Shasky, 200 votes. 50-50 right now. 50-50. And so that's the question I have for everybody out there on the roadways right now. And we're discussing it. Is Brock Purdy rushing himself back? Because is it enough to just hear Shanahan say, hey, I'm the leader in the clubhouse? Knowing how Shanahan operates as head coach.
Did it feel like, let me ask you, it's feel. I'm asking you feel. So this is your feel on the situation. Did it feel like they had weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of patience?
The Niners?
Watching every camp battle and all the positional spots, did it feel to you like this is a, hey, by week 1, he'll be good to go?
No.
I felt a lot more sense of urgency than that.
Yeah.
And that's me being honest.
I feel it from Brock.
Oh, hell
if
yes.
If you're Brock and you're a 7th-round pick and you're the last pick of the draft, yeah, you had that run. But a lot of people don't view Brock yet as the franchise guy. They feel he's the guy. But there's still a lot of doubt on whether he's the guy for the next 5 years, because that's what we're talking about here. Can you be that franchise guy? Are you the guy? Unequivocally, you're our number 1 quarterback for the foreseeable future. I don't think we know the answer to that yet.
I think it's TBD, to be determined.
So he has the 4-year deal for $3.7 million or whatnot. He's making less than $1 million a season on his contract. He's eligible for an extension that would kick in year number 4. I don't think Brock says, boy, if I play well, I'm going to cash in big time, but I have to play well this year.
Well, and I don't want to let someone else do what I did to the team last year, which is take a huge advantage of the situation and run with it.
We asked Grant Cohn yesterday, who covers the Niners for Sports Illustrated. He joined us live at the Hilton. We asked him if Purdy feels rushed to come back and play.
Are the Niners rushing Brock, or is Brock rushing Brock? Because the way I see it is, from Brock's perspective, he's got the job for now. Kyle's never called him the starter.
Good point.
And if Trey gets the job week 1 because Brock isn't quite ready and Trey kills it, then goodbye, Brock. Like, we spent 3 first-round picks on you. We're spending $10 million. Like, it all worked out. We're smart. Trey's the guy. So Brock has to. Also, they could sign Kirk Cousins next year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of urgency on Brock to play right now.
No
and keep
doubt.
the job.
So, Grant, also, we asked, would the 49ers bring Brock back early if he was the franchise guy?
Would there be a sense of urgency to rush him back, knowing that was their 10-year-long quarterback plan?
No.
Why?
Absolutely not, because he's the future. And the fact that the Niners are willing to potentially risk that future to get him on the field as soon as possible just lets you know where he stands. He's the guy. He's the leader in the clubhouse right now. That could be Trey tomorrow. It could be Trey next week. It could be Kirk next year.
Yeah, Darnold.
Yeah, man, they're paying him basically football minimum wage.
The more and more and more I think about it, and then seeing it play out on the field, I know people don't want to. They don't want to acknowledge this. He is QB1 for right now.
For right now. And Shanahan, why does Shanahan go through training camp not naming his starters?
Well, he didn't even tell Brock that he's starting week 1.
Right. He didn't tell Jimmy Garoppolo. He didn't tell Jimmy Garoppolo at all.
Because everything is always up in the air. In terms of, like, you have to continue to earn things.
Yep.
Again, there are made men. Like, Trent Williams is a made man at left tackle. Is Brock a made man at quarterback?
No, I don't think so.
I agree with you.
And I wonder, does 49er fans feel like that? 888-957-9570. Is Brock Purdy a made man in your eyes, in your opinion, at the quarterback spot for the 49ers? Is Brock Purdy the guy? Is he rushing himself back? Because he knows one of these 2 guys behind him, and Darnold or Trey, can catapult him on that depth chart and take this job.
I know it's one practice, but boy, doesn't it feel very removed from where we were 7 months ago? Like, we feel like I feel so much distance. Everybody unilaterally agreeing, unanimously agreeing that Brock's the dude. Everyone, bobbing their heads, and they're all, in sync. We feel very disconnected from that. Now, 2 weeks from now, could it change? And we're right back to where we were? For sure. Could a month from now it be totally different? And we're right back to where? For sure. Because today's day 1. It's the first step of a long, long, long trek, a marathon. But, man, I feel like Darnold is right on his heels. And I think these days that he takes off, because he's going to have baked-in days off, Darnold Trey, to a less degree, they're going to have to take full advantage of those opportunities.
No doubt about it. 888-957-9570. See, this is what I'm talking about. 510. Not just mad Brock as a starter, making up narratives. I'm tell you right now, what Brock Purdy did last season, I hope Brock Purdy's ready to go. I just want to win football games. I don't care who the quarterback. Darnold was the best quarterback on the field. Am I a Darnold fan? No. If I had an agenda, I wouldn't say things like that. There's people I don't get it with sports these days. There's player stands and team stands. We see it in the NBA now all the time. There's Steph stands and then there's Warrior fans. It's all about Steph. And I get it, he's a great player. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people will sell their soul for just Steph to get his and the team to, Steph did his job. Steph did his. Same thing in the NFL with these quarterbacks. Now, the Niners have 3 quarterbacks on this roster who are capable of being a starting quarterback, I believe. How well will they play as a starter? That's another question, right? I don't know how well Darnold is going to play. He hasn't played well for 5 years. I don't know how well Trey's going to play. He's only played in 4 games. Really, 3.5 games, if that. Brock, we saw a lot of data that says, okay, he can play well and he can play at a high level.
Absolutely.
But he is coming off a torn UCL injury. What if he does rip it over and over and over and he gets arm fatigued and he tries to overcompensate? That's where the forearm injuries come into play. That's where the shoulder injuries come into play. That's where the lat injuries come into play. And so all I'm saying is, you don't think Brock is rushing himself back to make sure that he continues to be the guy? He can't afford it. Brock Purdy misses 3 games. May not ever get that job back. We've seen this in pro sports, especially over the last 10 years, Shasky.
I just get this sense they like Darnold a lot. And I get it. It makes sense. It's seen, and he's going to have the good and the bad because you get a little mixed bag of everything. It's one day. I'm ready to see what happens next week, but it's one day. I walked off that field thinking Darnold's going to get opportunities in regular season games to play with the ones.
Yep.
It's coming.
Yep.
It is. Like, guys, we've seen this for 6 or 7 years here.
Right.
Like, Jimmy had the 1 year of health. And trust me, I'm sure if they had a viable option behind him, there were times Shanahan would have been second-guessing yanking Jimmy out of games. And I think that they don't bring in Sam Darnold unless they really think there's something there. I think everybody is kind of missing this thing, and they're not willing to acknowledge you don't bring in Darnold if you feel great about having a franchise quarterback for a decade.
Again, I want to make this a point of emphasis. We're just going by what we saw the first 2 days of practice. Again, they don't even have shoulder pads on right now. That happens on Monday. So it's day 2 of training camp. I'm not coming to any sweeping proclamations about who's what. And as of right now, Brock Purdy's a leader in the clubhouse. Sam Darnold may be the number 2 right now over Trey Lance. You guys know how big of a fan of Trey Lance I am. Although I'm not going to sit here and sell my soul to say, hey, Trey Lance needs to start no matter what. Hey, it is what it is. But right now, I'm a little concerned with Brock Purdy rushing himself back. And I get why he would. People, just take a step back for a second. Forget what he did yesterday at practice. Forget the rust.
Put yourself in his position.
Just put yourself in his shoes thinking, I'm a 7th-round pick. A 7th round. I was the last pick of the draft. Mr. Irrelevant that turned into Mr. Relevant. I have a chance to become a household name with the San Francisco 49ers for many, many years. My jersey's selling. I was 7-0 into that NFC title game, and I got knocked out. But boy, my long-term security, my long-term money hasn't been cemented yet. I haven't got that deal yet. I want to set myself up, and this is a great opportunity under Kyle Shanahan with this offense, with these weapons, to really thrive. I have a chance to take this job, the job of the San Francisco 49ers quarterback position. But boy, if I don't play, or if I'm rusty, I know Darnold and Trey Lance are waiting in the wings, waiting for a shot. If you're Brock Purdy, why wouldn't you rush yourself back? And that could be problematic. I'm just saying. It's something to monitor.
It's a great point. Think about someone who has a very comparable story, Kurt Warner, right? Kurt Warner's entire career is about seizing the opportunity.
Yep.
Him seizing it and others seizing it upon him. For example, he gets the opportunity when Trent Green goes down with the Rams. Does he make the most of it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what happened when he showed a little bit of slippage and got hurt in St. Louis? Here comes Mark Bolger. Okay, he goes to New York.
By the way, Trent Green had to move on to Kansas City.
Exactly. He goes to New York. He's the starter. He shows that he can't hold on to a football. Who gets an opportunity? Young Eli Manning.
Yep.
Right? Now he gets shipped out. He goes to where there's a young guy in the name of Matt Leinart who's the starter, and he's going to be the backup. And then the reverse happens. He makes the most of his opportunity when Leinart doesn't show himself.
Yep.
This league has examples everywhere. Of guys seizing their opportunity or not, and someone else taking it.
How about this? Kevin Cobb got hurt week 1 for the Philadelphia Eagles. Michael Vick was a backup. Cobb gets hurt. Vick lights it up. He lights it up again the next week. And Andy Reid saying, yeah, Kevin Cobb, you're done here. We're sticking with Vick. This league has shown you Tom Brady. How did Tom Brady get his start?
Well, it's because Drew Bledsoe got knocked into the oblivion by, was it Brian Cox?
Mo Lewis.
I knew it was one of those neck roll linebackers.
And again, see, this is where people are getting confused. And this is why football fans are absolutely insane sometimes. Day 2 from the 406 Xfinity mobile text line. Day 2. And you guys want to crown Sam Darnold.
Who's crowning him?
Nobody's crowned Sam Darnold. I just told you in day 2 of practice, he looked better than any other quarterback on the field.
And I would say in day 1,
Trey Lance looked better than Sam Darnold.
But Darnold looked good.
The gap wasn't as wide as it was yesterday.
Yes, I agree.
The gap between Trey and Sam.
I agree.
Yesterday was Grand Canyon size gap.
Is it frozen? You don't know what carbonite is, but Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite, right? So I always use this analogy, and he's like stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically as like a stone on the wall for Jabba the Hutt. Is the quarterback position fluid or frozen in carbonite?
I think it's fluid.
Well, I think Brock right now is firmly in QB1.
Right.
But I think everything else is fluid as hell.
Right.
But if you don't think that water is going to trickle downhill a little toward QB1 or uphill, however you want to do this analogy, I think you're being naive.
See, this is what bugs me. 805, Xfinity mobile text line. By the way, shameless shout-outs coming up in 10 minutes. Line them up, 888-957-9570. Your narratives this morning are garbage. Or you're mailing it in on a Friday. These are not narratives. We're having a conversation about the quarterback spot. This is the biggest and most important spot in North America sports. And we're talking about the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers on a team that has a Super Bowl roster, that has Trent Williams, Fred Warner, George Kittle, Debo, Brandon Ayuk, by the way, looks like the best player in all of camp. I don't care on both sides of the football.
He looks
Brandon
motivated.
Ayuk is balling right now.
To prove to everyone.
You got Christian McCaffrey, and the quarterback is going to bring this all together. And you have a quarterback coming off a torn UCL. You have a quarterback who has done nothing in 5 years. You have a top 3 pick who hasn't even played much.
Incredible. It's incredible.
So it's not a narrative. These are the facts, and we're going to judge these facts every single day. I'm just saying, a lot of people say Brock Purdy looked great. It was great to see him on the football field. That was great. But did he play great? No. And it was to be expected in his first day. But you're telling me he's not rushing himself back a little bit? A little bit?
Godfather, there's a consigliere, right? There's somebody that you would trust as an advisor, almost the hand of the king. And in this particular analogy, you elbow me and you go, do you see who that is over there? And it was all the way across the field.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm thinking, kind of looks like my dad. White hair.
Right. It's Mike Shanahan.
Is he wearing Crocs? He's got the Jerusalem Cruisers going on, some sort of sandals, looking like my dad. And you go, that's Mike Shanahan, the lobster man. And I go, it is Mike Shanahan. And he's watching these quarterbacks with a fine-tooth comb.
Oh, he's locked in. Locked in.
And
what did I say? What did I tell you? I go, what kind of quarterback did Mike Shanahan like?
He liked the big, strong, athletic ones.
Steve Young?
Yeah.
John Elway?
Mm-hmm.
Jake Plummer?
Yeah. Jay Cutler.
They did draft RG3.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say they didn't like RG3. Well, they made it work with RG3.
Kyle Orton.
Kyle Orton.
By the way, Mike Shanahan, semifinalist for the Hall of Fame.
Should be in the Hall of Fame. Should be. Alongside George Seifert.
But did he like to go play action and rip it downfield?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm watching him.
And he loved those big, strong quarterbacks who can run a little bit.
I'm watching him watch the quarterbacks, and all I kept thinking is, and I know how my dad is. My dad will tell me, he'll come to a game, he'll tell me when to bunt for my team, he'll tell me when we need pitching changes, he tells me everything. My dad wasn't in the exact same profession as me. My dad critiques me to this day, and I do radio. My dad was a plumber. Could you imagine your own father being a Hall of Fame, because to me he's a Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame coach who taught you the game and you worked under, and he's not going to give you input on what's going on with the quarterbacks?
Absolutely. Every single day.
All I kept thinking about, as you were pointing it out to me, was what is Mike Shanahan thinking?
What is he thinking? And, you see the chat. He was gifted Steve Young and gifted John Elway. Steve Young had his best ever season under Mike Shanahan.
Yeah, he said that when he left, it ruined his development.
Yeah. Mike Shanahan got the best out of Steve Young. John Elway was a quarterback who couldn't win. He was in the category with Dan Marino and Jim Kelly. And Shanahan got there with those running backs, Terrell Davis and all those other 1,000-yard running backs, and all of a sudden he used John Elway in a way, play action pass, ripping it. Think about Rod Smith in that Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons. Think about Ed McCaffrey all those years. Then he goes out and gets Jake Plummer, to Denver from Arizona, gives him the big money contract and goes to the AFC title game, goes and drafts Jay Cutler. Dude, Mike Shanahan loved the big athletic quarterback. So what I'm thinking is, when I'm watching Mike and we're looking at Mike, you don't think he's a big Trey Lance fan?
And did you see who went
He was up there. Remember, he was up there at North Dakota State scouting Trey Lance with Kyle.
He was one of the more influential people in choosing Trey Lance, from what they say.
Right.
At one point, John Lynch is way back behind, almost like single high safety, playing the Hail Mary position, if you will, watching practice. And that's where he likes to watch practice.
Yep.
And him and I locked eyes, and I said hi, and we waved at me, and I waved at him. Supposed to do the drop there. But he walked over, and then he started talking to Mike Shanahan. And so you guys could tell me that Mike isn't influential, and you could tell me that Kyle's running everything. And I don't, of course Kyle's running everything. But if you don't think that they're taking input from all over, and some things they disregard and some things they absorb, I just want to know what he's thinking about with this quarterback thing. And when you see some of those throws that are being made on that field and how these players are responding, I just think it's more open than people want to admit.
Well, again, let's see when the pads get on Monday. And these preseason games and scrimmages are going to be huge before we get ready for Pittsburgh. 707 Xfinity Mobile Text Line. It's one practice, so I'm not going to go crazy. But I've been saying since he got cleared that I think Brock Purdy was rushing himself back, especially when they have yet to see his max velocity and he doesn't go 3 days in a row. Just doesn't seem like he should be all the way back yet. And that's the same feeling. Again, when he's extending the ball on play action passes, that arm isn't extended fully. It's not fully extended on those play action passes. The arm is bent a little bit. He's not fully extending that elbow yet. So it's just something to monitor. And I don't know why everybody's not doing that. Like, I go out there for a couple practices, you just look for things, footwork, extensions with the arm. How's he ripping it, this and that. And I don't know why a lot of these people can't report that. It's okay to report it.
I think this is the problem, is that anytime you're analyzing, critiquing, it's labeled as slander and hatred.
No, it's not.
And to me, it's, hey, I'm giving you the information on the day. That's the way I'm viewing it, right?